coronavirus outbreak in China.
Welcome to The Lying Truth, where I'm going to show you where the truth lies. Today we're talking about some of our leaders and the truths that they've turned into lies and lies they've turned into truths. Starting out with our favorite one. We know how the Trumpster does it. We also know how the media reports on him, though, as well. Starting from day one, we're going to look at our other famous leader that's out on the news.
On the coronavirus outbreak in China, my administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat. Now, the virus.
Welcome to The Lying Truth. First guy we're getting after today is President Trump here. And that first little clip opened up, for those that recall, that was Donald Trump talking about the coronavirus in the State of the Union, February 4th. And if you remember, Pelosi did rip that speech up. So she wasn't real concerned about the coronavirus at that time. I don't think anybody were. But let's listen to a little bit of Trump here talk about the virus.
My administration will take all necessary steps to safeguard our citizens from this threat. Now, the virus that we're talking about having to do, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat because of what we've done. The risk to the American people remains very low. People die from the flu, and this is very unusual. And it is a little bit different, but in some ways it's easier, and in some ways it's a little bit tougher. But we have it so well under control. I mean,
So here we have. This is what we're looking at is the media right now, and a lot of people, and probably rightfully so. I'm not going to say it's wrong to have this, but they're just pretty much on Donald Trump. And we kind of have a media that basically picks a side right now and says, oh, wow, look at what Trump and Fox News are doing. And they forget what everybody else is doing. So the question that comes in is it true that Donald Trump was downplaying the virus? Yes, he was. Was he lying to downplay the virus, or was that the information that we had on hand? And I think to answer that question, because there's no doubt it's true that Trump was downplaying the virus. That's obvious. But to answer the question, was he what else was he supposed to do? I think it's safe to look at and say, well, what were other people and other leaders saying at that time? What were our other leaders doing? Because we know we don't all rely on Donald Trump. Most of the leaders and governors refuse to listen to him most of the time until now. Now it's Trump's fault because of lack of action. So I think it'll be good to go in and take a listen to what other people were saying, not just what Donald Trump was saying.
Experts have spoken to them all. Nobody really knows. We're ordering a lot of supplies.
And he's saying nobody really knows, and we're kind of getting ready. And we're going to listen to some other people talk. Andrew Cuomo, Bill DeBlasio, Nancy Pelosi, and see, well, what were they saying during this thing? And this is one of the best ones that they keep saying it's a hoax.
If you're healthy.
If you heard that, Trump said this is their new hoax. He wasn't talking about the coronavirus. And the media knows this, but the media plays on our stupidity and our ability to retweet things and reshare things that just are not true. Did Trump say it's their new hoax? True. Yes. Was he talking about the coronavirus was a hoax? No, that's the lie. That's where the truth lies. They take the words and twist them. And one of the great things about today is you can't twist everything, because luckily we have YouTube now, and thank goodness some of these people are on TV talking, like Andrew Cuomo and Bill DeBlasio, and I'm not faulting them at all. Because if you can go on YouTube and search Pelosi on the coronavirus, search these people and what they say about the coronavirus, you're not going to find anything. You're just not. And so I think it's safe to say, when you're looking for the truth, when you ask a question, was Trump preparing us? You have to also ask, okay, what was he not doing that other people were doing or other people were suggesting to do? What did he not act on? And that's a great thing to look at. Well, let's go take a look. We all know about how how dangerous Trump is and how if we didn't have Trump, we could have been saved. And this is a tone of sarcasm, of course, because again, this is a worldwide pandemic, meaning there are no countries being saved from this despite their politics or their politicians. And I understand that people think Trump could have done more. I don't know what he could have done. It's one thing to say you should have done more, as a lot of politicians are saying, but doing more isn't doing something. Saying he should have done more is not saying what he should have done. Should he have closed the country down sooner? I hope not, because man, if we ran out of toilet paper when we did, what would it be like right now? We would have ran out of food if he just came out and closed this country down 6 weeks early. Now, what I want to get to is what our other leaders were saying, and I've loved Andrew Cuomo's press conferences. They've been very informative, and he's been very well spoken. In fact, he should probably be running for president instead of some of the people that did run this year. But we can't make decisions about people's response looking backwards based on what we know now. We didn't know back in February the things that we know now. So we're just going to go through a little timeline of what Andrew Cuomo, who's kind of been everyone's voice of reason, obviously he's opposite of Trump, but let's see back in February 7th what he was saying about the coronavirus. And let's see if it has any sounding of what Donald Trump was saying. So here we are a couple weeks later, February 26th. Again, Cuomo, it was great. I didn't even know they had these. He's pretty much on TV all the time in New York, apparently. So you can go back and watch exactly what he's saying, which is great for transparency. But let's listen to him talk a little bit more about the preparedness that they had.
From a public point of view,
he does believe that it's a serious issue, but he doesn't. He thinks it's like the flu, but like a worse flu, which is kind of what we were all saying at that time.
A situation that should cause undue fear among people. Yes, it is a serious illness, has a higher mortality rate than the flu, etc., but not like Ebola, not like some of these other situations. We had 17,000 people in the state of New York last week who had the flu, 17,000. So we've dealt with situations like this in the past, and we'll deal with it again.
So again, we have a relative comparison to the flu as of February 26th, which a lot of people were doing. And now, in hindsight, they're getting blasted for it by the media. I mean, just blasted. As if the media was reporting anything different to us. There was nobody out there telling us to get ready or do anything. It's just not what they do. That doesn't sell views. We wouldn't have listened to it anyway. So I just find it so amusing that some people, Dr. Drew was getting blasted because he said it's a serious case of the flu, which it is. It is like 2 to 3x or 2 to 3 times what the flu is. Okay. Have we ever had to close everything down? No, because the flu, it's 2 to 3 times, but the flu is pretty darn serious. And that's not all. And now let's fast forward another week to March 10th. Again, New York. Here's Bill DeBlasio on MSNBC. Okay. Again, MSNBC loves, pretending as if Fox News was airing all this information. And for the record, I don't watch Fox News. I find it too opinionated for my taste. I really don't watch MSNBC except to see what the heck they're complaining about, and CNN, not too interested. Anyway, but here's the thing. Here's on MSNBC, Mayor Bill DeBlasio of New York talking about the coronavirus, and let's see what his opinion was.
5 cases as of this morning, and we care deeply about each of those individuals, but against the backdrop of 8.6 million people, and for the vast majority of New Yorkers, life is going on pretty normally right now, and we want to encourage that. Look, we've got to look out for people here.
Life is going on normally, and we want to encourage that. This is what our politicians were saying. All of them. All of the politicians were saying this. And a few of them were adding in how we need healthcare and we need Medicare for all. Some people were saying that, but their actions were not changing in the least. So don't let that part of it fool you.
Especially those who are over 50 years old and have pre-existing conditions like lung disease, heart disease, cancer, diabetes. These are the folks we really, really need to be careful for. But if you're under 50 and you're healthy, which is most New Yorkers, There's very little threat here. This disease, even if you were to get it, basically acts like a common cold or flu.
Wait. Did the mayor of New York just say it acts like the common cold or flu? Oh my God, he's killing people in New York. He actually murdered them. No, he didn't, because at that time, that's kind of what we thought. It was the truth at that time, but the lie has changed. The truth has become the lie that these people were telling people bad information. They weren't. Mayor DeBlasio did not want to see people die. He was giving people the best information that we had at the time. That yes, it was a virus. We still don't know everything about it. And it's kind of, we have to wait to see and put measures in place. And as we saw it got worse, people started putting measures in place to hopefully save lives. So this nonsense of blaming everybody and blaming politicians, they can't help you from an unknown virus pandemic that's going to come around the entire world. I'm sorry, but they can't. And if you think the next leader that you're going to vote in is going to help you, I don't really think so. People are either going to learn to help themselves, or they're going to be at risk for this. And we've been at risk for this, as people have been saying for years. Hasn't changed, has not changed at all. But again, we got all these people comparing it to the flu, the cold, all this stuff. At that time, that was kind of the thought. And guess what? It's a coronavirus. That's what the common cold is. That is the truth. So to be outraged that you're comparing something to exactly what it is nonsense. It's like calling an apple a fruit and being mad because it's red. So here's Nancy Pelosi, and one of her responses in February. This is February 24th. And, Trump had shut down the travel from China. And the response to that wasn't like, yeah, that was good, or it was too late. The response was, oh my gosh, here's his xenophobia again, which is just obviously a lie. Okay, because we obviously have to socially distance ourselves right now, and we have to try to isolate people with the virus. But here's Nancy Pelosi's response. Her response isn't, be mindful, let's try to stay out of restaurants for a little while, let's make sure that the virus isn't around. Her response was just a little bit different.
It's exciting to be here, especially at this time, to be able to be unified with our community. We want to be vigilant about what it might be on what is out there in other places. We want to be careful about how we deal with it, but we do want to say to people, come to Chinatown. Here we are. We're, again, careful, safe, and come join us.
Come join us. Come down to Chinatown. That's a good time. There's a virus she wanted to say on the horizon, but instead she changed it to elsewhere, other places. I mean, that's just pure politics at its best. So I don't know which of these politicians we want to trust. I get it. Donald Trump wrongfully became the president, but now all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, why didn't Trump tell us? Like, anyone was listening to him anyway. Like, any of us would listen. I barely want to listen now. We all don't want to listen right now. Stay inside. We got to keep yelling at each other. You think if they tried doing this before there were any cases in Illinois, people are going to be like, oh, cool, man. Yeah, good idea. That's a smart move. You can't even get people to figure that out right now, that it's a smart move, that we're doing it right. So, bottom line is these truths, you can't let a truth become a lie when you look backwards on it because it was a mistake. You can't look backwards on something that was unknown and say, oh my God, that was a bad move. If someone told you, if you're looking here and the stock market was at 28,000, they said, hey, now's a good time. You invest in the market and it goes down. You don't go, oh man, you're a liar. That's not how it works when you're wrong about something. You could be wrong, but it doesn't mean necessarily that you're lying. And you could be telling the truth at that time and you could try to twist it into a lie. Don't believe all the politicians when they start pointing fingers. It's absolutely brutal. And if you're going to start pointing fingers and putting blame on them, thinking the next person is going to protect you, well, then how come this is happening all over the world? If all we needed was a different leader, how come there's not like a little country in the middle of Europe that hasn't been affected? Or maybe the only way there would be a country that hasn't been affected if they had completely locked up borders and didn't allow anybody or any movement in their country. Do we want to live like that? I don't know. But this is the lying truth, where we find out where the truth lies and break it down for you. Gotta be smart. You got to go in there and figure things out. Thanks for listening.